I was going to do two things with my 5 minutes, and I think we'll get into more details as we get through the rest of the session. One is I want to take Payola and try to put it into a little bit of a broader context of some of the issues that Payola and the current forms of Payola that we've been dealing with are sort of symptomatic of. And then I want to give just a very, very brief primer on kind of how we got to this point today. As was mentioned by the Commissioner by the question, there's lots of news about potentially some settlements at the FCC and things like that. I want to give a quick history of the last 7 or 8 years about how we got to this point. The first thing I want to say is even if you fix Payola, and I think the panel would probably feel pretty united that you can't fix Payola, even if you could fix Payola, that's not enough. I mean, the fact is, if you look at what's happening in the radio industry, there are many things that need to happen that could really reform the radio industry and really try to revitalize what is a very damaged medium at this point. Future Music Coalition has kind of a 4-part radio agenda we talk about. The first being hold the line on consolidation and ideally rolling back consolidation on the corporate side. The second is expanding and growing and protecting non-commercial radio on the AM and FM band. The third is ending institutional payola. And the fourth is really trying to make sure that this transition to digital broadcasting happens in a way that the public really benefits. And that's really not what's happening now. I think other panels and other discussions will talk about it, but I just want to make sure we got those other issues out there in this discussion today. What I wanted to touch on briefly is that when you talk about where we are now in the Payola discussion and the Payola debate, you know, I just made a quick list of about 10 different things that have happened, and this is just off the top of my head, so I'm sure I've forgotten like 15 others, and a lot of people have done a lot of work over the years, a lot of great work and brave work to kind of get to this point, and I'm going to forget some things, so I apologize up front. First, you have the 96 Telecommunications Act, which paved the way for the massive consolidation of the industry. And as the industry became incredibly consolidated, as you had 2/3 of the industry controlled by 10 companies, or you had half the industry controlled by 4 companies, what really started to emerge and was really documented as you talk about 97, 98, 99, 2000, was really a system of institutional payola. It was not the traditional payola as much as we've always had, which is that I bribe you, you play my music. This was a poker game. This was, if you want to come to the game, you're going to ante up. And if you don't want to ante up, then you're not in. You're not even eligible for airplay. And that was a much more corporate and institutional and locked down sort of form of payola. And Eric Boehlert, you know, did amazing journalism around this subject, and a lot of people documented this and talked about it, wrote about it. And eventually, Capitol Hill started to pay attention. Future Music Coalition and basically the entire music community collaborated on a letter in the year 2002 talking about this practice, talking about the damage of consolidation, and specifically as it has led to this sort of institutionalized payola. Eventually, Senator Russ Feingold stepped up and introduced an incredibly brave piece of legislation that specifically went in Clear Channel and their attempts to integrate the live entertainment industry with their radio stations and the way that they're trying to leverage radio play to get musicians to do God knows what. You had the confirmation filing of Jonathan Adelstein, and I'm glad BJ referenced that speech he gave. Adelstein went in front of the Federal Communication Bar, right, and the lawyers who represent the broadcasters and called them out on payola. You know, that's not really what you do as an FCC commissioner in the minority in Washington. That was a very brave and unusual thing to have happen. And Adelstein has consistently pounded this issue since he's been in as a commissioner. You had John McCain was chairing the Commerce Committee at the time. McCain held hearings on this issue and wrote to the FCC chairman, Michael Powell, and said, do you have the authority you need to deal with these new practices? Is what's happening now in the marketplace, is this handled under your law?
1 minute.
Thank you. And Powell never answered. Right? I mean, so the FCC would never kind of clarify whether or not they had the authority they needed, if they needed more authority to toughen up their laws and enforce it.